Good evening, everyone. I'm Mike Hostetler, and this is Brownstown 87. In a little less than 30 minutes from now, the Browns face off with the San Francisco 49ers in Candlestick Park, and TV5 will bring you that game. But for these two teams, it's not just another regular season matchup on their road to the playoffs. This is a matter of honor. And if you don't believe me, just listen to what former Cleveland head coach Paul Brown had to say when asked about tonight's contest.
They were our big rival, no question about it. I think it started because they had a good football team, and so did we. And it was a real goer from any time we met.
That wasn't the Steelers that Brown was talking about, but the 49ers. We're going to look back at how the rivalry between the Browns and 49ers began and why it still continues. We'll talk with Paul Brown, Lou Groza, Dante Lavelli, Jim Brown, Bernie Kosar, Art Modell, and others. Cleveland enters this game with a 7-3 record after blowing out Houston 40-7 last week, while San Francisco stands 8-2 after its win over Tampa last Sunday. Now with a preview of what we can expect in tonight's game and a little history lesson as well, let's go to TV5 Sports Director Neb Chandler and sports reporter Doug Deacon, who are at Candlestick Park.
Mike, let's start with the history lesson first of all. Naturally, Browns fans think of Bernie Kosar today when they talk about Cleveland. 49ers fans think of Joe Montana when they talk about the Niners. But these two teams go all the way back to Frankie Albert quarterbacking the Niners and Otto Graham quarterbacking the Browns, back to the days of the All-America Conference in the 1940s.
The rivalry between Cleveland and San Francisco actually dates back to the very beginnings of the Browns organization. The year was 1946, and the man in charge was Arthur Mickey McBride, the first owner of the Cleveland Browns. After a long search, McBride named former Ohio State coach Paul Brown as head coach of his all-new All-America Conference Cleveland Browns. Meanwhile, out on the West Coast, the 49ers organization got underway under the leadership of owner Victor Morabito and head coach Lawrence Buck Shaw. The very first game the newly formed Cleveland Browns would play was against the San Francisco 49ers, and San Francisco soundly trounced the Browns 34-20. The 49ers defense was strong, holding Cleveland to a total of only 54 yards rushing. Cleveland's star running back Marion Motley managed to get only 22 yards all day long. But the Browns weren't down for long. Between 1946 and 1950, the Browns and 49ers went head-to-head 9 times, and the Browns walked away as victors on 7 occasions. As a matter of fact, over those years, the Browns took first place in the All-America Conference each time, followed by San Francisco. In 1950, Cleveland, San Francisco, and Baltimore entered the National Football League, and the Browns and 49ers have played one another only 11 times since then. The last time the two teams met was in 1984, and the 49ers crushed the Browns 41-7. However, the last time the Browns played in Candlestick Park, they upset the 49ers 15-12 during San Francisco's Super Bowl season of 1981.
I mentioned that 1981 game here at Candlestick between the Browns and the 49ers. Doug Deacon played in that game, the Browns upsetting the Niners when San Francisco was on its way to a Super Bowl championship that year. Doug, I think this year's edition of the 49ers still has 7 starters left over from that previous squad. What do you see tonight as far as the matchups are concerned?
Well, I think defensively you have to watch Roger Craig underneath. Of course, he's the guy that Montana likes to nickel and dime it all over the field. And if you give him the ball in the open field, the linebackers, if you don't tackle well, you're going to have problems. But they also have the big money threat, Jerry Rice, down the middle. Defensively, I think that the 49ers are much like the Browns. They show a lot of different schemes at you, and they try to mix it up and give you different coverages, but they're a little weak in the middle. They don't have the big, strong inside linebackers.
Some people expect a shootout. Bernie Kosar and Joe Montana. Montana has the top-ranked passing offense in the game right now. Of course, the Browns' dog defense has been #1 in the NFL over the last 3 weeks. Right then and there, that is strength against strength.
Yes, it is. And last week, Frank Minifield was the AFC Defensive Player of the Week. Jerry Rice was the NFC Offensive Player of the Week. He had 3 touchdowns. Minifield had 3 interceptions. So there's a lot of good matchups. You also have Mike Babb on the offense going against the silver medalist in the Olympic Games, Michael Carter. I mean, it's going to be a classic game.
Doug, you mentioned the 49ers appear to be a little bit weaker in the middle defensively than they were a few years ago when they did win a Super Bowl. Can Bernie Kosar and the Browns move the ball offensively against them?
I think they can. They have to get a push up the line of scrimmage, and that's something that they've been working over the last few weeks. But they also have to be leery of Ronnie Lott. He's the guy that's going to come up and smack you in the face and try to get you to turn the ball over.
A Super Bowl preview, perhaps?
That's close.
It is real close, and we expect a close game tonight here at Candlestick. We'll be back with more on Brownstown 87 right after we take this time out.
To Brownstown 87, there is little doubt that the credit for the early Browns' success against the 49ers belongs to one man, Mr. Paul Brown. Paul Brown remembers the 49er rivalry as a grudge match from Game 1 in the old All-America Conference.
It was right from the beginning. They were tough to lick, and so are we. We ended up prevailing most of the time against these fellows, but let me tell you, it was everybody knew, and it was a full house anytime we went after them.
Part of what made the rivalry so fierce was the geographic makeup of the teams. Both believed in the homegrown method.
A lot of his team came from the West Coast, Stanford. A lot of ours came from the Big Ten. It just happened to be natural as to how we put them together.
This heated series would also revolutionize football equipment and save thousands of broken noses. Cleveland quarterback Otto Graham suffers the ultimate cheap shot on this play. After he's 3 yards out of bounds, the 49ers' Visco Gergish hammers him with an elbow in the face. Graham took 15 stitches in the mouth.
He came back to play, and actually it was the thing that put us over. We were a mad team, and really went after them.
Graham led the rally wearing a unique plastic face mask, which Brown special ordered from Rydell Sporting Goods.
I said, make me something no bigger than my little finger. Tensile strength enough to sustain a blow, a flying heel, a punch, or whatever, to the face. And it became the start of the face mask as we know them today.
Brown made thousands of dollars off the face mask, collecting patent royalties on it 17 years. The face mask evolution was just one chapter in this rich series. Another story involved Brown's linebacker Bill Willis, who had an injured leg. San Francisco coach Buck Shaw ordered his players not to block Willis on that leg.
And this same kind of thing happened again then with Otto. It was two occasions. That's why I started this out by telling you that this was a true gentleman.
The 49ers-Browns contest was always a sellout during the All-America Conference days, averaging 75,000 fans in 4 games at the stadium.
It was a great draw at the time, and actually there were 2 excellent football teams. And I think there might have been, if I'd stopped to count them, maybe 8 or 10 in the Hall of Fame today. I mean, Frankie Alberts, Grahams, Grozas, Lavellis.
Brown was 10-4 against San Francisco as Cleveland's coach, which included a 13-10 win over the 49ers in his last game as a Brown in 1962. He looks back on those days with a smile.
It was just a different era, and if I may say so, a wholesome, healthy one. Those were happy days, and the players I had at that time, in fact, we had a very happy reunion of the 1950 team in Cleveland here a few months ago, and I couldn't help but notice the caliber of the people.
2 of those men of high caliber that Paul Brown spoke of are here with me in the studio, Lou Groza and Dante Lavelli. But just in case they don't look all that familiar to you, maybe these pictures will jar some memories. They called him Lou the Toe Groza. He holds many Browns records, including most seasons played and most points made. Over 17 seasons, Lou scored over 1,300 points. And then there was Dante Glue Fingers Lavelli, a man most often found on the receiving end of an Otto Graham pass. Dante spent 10 years as a Brown, and his heroics on the field led to his induction into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, an honor both he and Lou Groza share. Thank you for being with us, gentlemen. And let's start with you, Dante. Just how intense was the rivalry with the 49ers?
Well, it was very keen. The 49ers had a couple of good ends, too, by name of Alan Beals and Hal Schreiner. And in fact, Clay Matthews' dad, the linebacker for the Browns, played opposite me as a defensive end on the 49ers.
How would it compare with, say, the Steeler rivalry that we know now?
Well, I think the Steeler rivalry was a little tougher because it's only 150 miles away, and the 49ers were 3,000 miles away, but they had a great rivalry. And I have to tell a little secret here. Every time we'd go to San Francisco, the newspapers would come out saying about Paul Brown, "Here comes the madman from Massillon," and that used to get him upset, and he got us keyed up for that game.
Let's go back now to 1953 with you, Lou Groza. When Otto Graham was knocked out of bounds there, knocked out of the game with that elbow to the face, how did the team react?
Well, actually, anytime you lose a star player, and the way it happened, it sort of it gets you excited. And of course, we came out and played to our fullest ability, because now they made us mad, and you don't taunt anybody without their getting mad. So we played mad and we won.
Browns came back and won that game in the second half. What about Paul Brown the week before the 49ers game? Was practice extra tough that week?
Well, I'll tell you what, Mike, you can always tell about the Browns team when we go out to play San Francisco. We used to ride a bus in for about 30 miles from our hotel, and you wouldn't even hear a pin in that bus. And Paul Brown would always say, "These guys are ready." And that's the way you can really tell when a team's up. You might supposed to win a game, but you can't tell about the 33 or 40 players that you have what they're thinking of mentally until the first whistle blows. But when you hear everything quiet, you know the guys are ready to play.
Quick prediction tonight from you guys. Lou, who do you think will come out on top tonight?
I think Cleveland will win because they have all the capabilities. They have a good running game, good passing game, just a matter of making it fit properly.
And Dante?
Well, I think Cleveland's a little stronger defensively. Most times, the defensive club will win the ball game.
All right, let's hope so tonight. Dante Lavelli, Lou Groza, I thank you for joining us tonight. We will hear from Jim Brown, Art Modell, and Bernie Kosar when we come back with more of Brownstown 87. Stay with us. Brownstown 87. He is thought by many to be one of the greatest athletes of all time. And from 1957 to 1965, he wore the number 32. The most famous Brown of them all, number 32, Jim Brown, got just a taste of the 49ers-Browns rivalry, playing 2 games against San Francisco in his 9-year career. He remembers football was much simpler back then.
The players that we had in our day, you know, Chuck Bednareks, oh my goodness, John Wooten, Jim Ray Smith, Hickersons, we just believed in the game. You know, we're pretty good business people, but we really didn't play for the money, and that seems very silly in today's market because it's highly commercial. And, you know, we were dedicated. There were no drugs at that particular time, and we did have some racial problems that we overcame, and we wanted to win the championship.
The Browns 49ers series also matched 2 of the top first-round picks from the 1957 draft. Brown from Syracuse and the man San Fran chose 3 picks earlier, quarterback John Brody from Stanford. The cheerleaders from Brush High were on hand exactly 18 years ago at the stadium when Brody and Brown first squared off. Behind Brody's passing, San Francisco squeaked out a 21-20 victory. But Brown, who always ran well in the mud, scored twice and rushed over 100 yards. He knew the 49ers would key on him, and well...
I thought it was a terrible game. When a rookie comes in, if he looks half as good as you, they say he's better than you. But yet the feeling of accomplishment is great when you have a great challenge. The greater the challenge, the greater the feeling of accomplishment.
Number 32 got revenge 3 years later in damp, frigid San Francisco, where fans built a fire in the stands to stay warm. Brown again ran over 100 yards and scored twice as Cleveland edged the 49ers in another close one, 13-10. It was Paul Brown's last game as coach of Cleveland. Brown, the player, remembers negotiating with the old man was never an easy task.
I was probably the first guy to have an attorney represent me. I would have taken $10,000, he got $15,000. That wasn't too much to argue over. And you weren't going to do too much negotiating with Paul, you know, because at that time you really were locked in. I mean, it was like game by game. If they wanted to cut you this game, that contract didn't mean anything.
It was during the Jim Brown era that then new Browns owner Art Modell got involved with player relations and contract negotiations. He's made his share of deals over the years, but as Neb Chandler recently found out, Art Modell's most precious goal has managed to elude him.
Art Modell's office at Cleveland Stadium resembles a museum. In his more than 26 years as a Clevelander and owner of the Browns, Modell has collected game balls, trophies, and plaques. He's one of the NFL's most respected and powerful men, as well as being one of Cleveland's prominent civic leaders. Now at the age of 62, Modell is missing just one piece of the puzzle, a piece of hardware that has shown up twice in the hands of a rival owner just 75 miles away. Youngstown's Eddie DeBartolo Jr., only 41 years old, has owned the 49ers for only a decade, and twice they've won Super Bowl championships. It makes tonight's game extra significant for Modell and the Browns.
I have a high regard for both Ed DeBartolo and his father and of course, Bill Walsh. They put together one heck of an organization, and if we get by Sunday night, and we're a 3-point underdog, I understand, but if we should win Sunday night, then I think we'll really be for real.
Modell makes no secret of his desire to get to the Super Bowl, and soon. Last season, the Browns came so tantalizingly close, 37 seconds away. If you believe in the Wheel of Fortune coupled with good fortune on the field, maybe this is the year.
Well, last year, the Giants went to the Super Bowl after not winning the big one since 1956. The year before, the Bears won, not winning since 1963, so maybe my last shot at 1964 we're about due. I'm very happy with this ball club. I was very happy last year. I thought the Denver loss gave us a opportunity to mature as an organization, and we have, and I'm very optimistic about this year's chances.
Modell is still very much a hands-on owner as far as watching over his team. He attends every game, home and away, and is extremely visible at training camp and practice. It's not uncommon for Modell to attend 2 or 3 practices per week. This year's strike almost became the ultimate bummer for Modell. It came close to destroying his Super Bowl hopes and angered him to a point where he talked about leaving the game. But now the Browns are playing well, and everything is back on track.
Everything worked out well. The strike is a thing of the past. It was unfortunate, never should have happened, but that's behind us. Right now we've got to look forward to years of peace and harmony with our players, and I'd like to have a collective bargaining agreement executed before too long, but I'm not on that committee, and I can only voice an opinion once in a while, but I'd like to see it happen.
You plan on staying around the game a few more years, Art?
Well, at least through the 49er game.
There are many who feel that Browns quarterback Bernie Kosar may just be Art Modell's ticket to a Super Bowl victory. Like Otto Graham in the 40s and 50s, Bernie has sparked electricity in the Browns squad. Doug Deacon had the chance to talk with Kosar just before the Browns headed to San Francisco for tonight's game.
At the tender age of 24, Bernie Kosar's been everybody's cover boy. But it's really not his style. The young Boardman bomber prefers the back row, nestled against the skyscrapers called the offensive line.
I do enjoy spending time with the linemen. They're good friends of mine, but you're right. I don't really enjoy the spotlight or the publicity. I would just as soon blend in and be part of the crowd, because it really is a team game.
It isn't his first appearance in the spotlight. Before he started to shave, he was the Orange Bowl MVP. And more importantly to him, his team won the national championship.
Did come early. I was only 18 at the time, and it was really an exciting moment for me because we put a lot of effort into it, and really were the underdogs the whole season, and it was a special moment for him.
In his first 2 pro seasons, he's gotten a lot closer to another special moment by being a student of the game.
Well, you probably put in, as you know, probably 10, 11 hours a day, a lot of film work, and that's probably the main thing there is if you get yourself mentally prepared to play by looking at film and knowing what to expect from the defense, the game's a little easier on Sunday.
Despite the rapid ascent, memories are a signal for the breaks.
Well, when I was little, I did look up to athletes, but probably the main reason why I try to sign most of the autographs, and it's predominantly the ones I try to sign, like the other day going in the Astrodome, or some of the kids, because the kids are the ones that really, I think, appreciate it and enjoy it.
In 1985, Bernie thought the offense was a little too conservative after the Miami game. And in '86, the Green Bay game plan had too many restraints. Presently, he's running the controls full throttle.
I think one of the most important things in an offense is for when a defense scouts you, is not to be able to lock in on any one or two particular players. And if you're able to get the ball to 7 or 8 receivers in a game, it makes it impossible really for a defense to key in and find a particular tendency of yours.
His ability to see the whole field has helped him outduel Marino and Kelly, but more importantly to him, notch a couple victories.
I think the reason to play this game is to be able to meet and rise to the occasion of a big challenge.
Those challenges weren't done on his arm alone. Leadership, like the ability to sell your teammates that you can score 10 points in just 4 minutes and make it just another day at the office.
It is important for the quarterback to get people believing that you're capable of getting the job done. And, you know, fortunately, our team believed in ourselves last year and was able to come back and never give up in that game.
Slow of foot, unique in delivery, but 22 and 13 as a starter. A case of the ultimate compensator?
I don't know if I'm the ultimate compensator, but it is a necessity in the game is realizing your limitations and your strengths and working on your strengths.
As Kozar enters the record books, Ozzie Newsome, who's rewritten most of the tight end section, calls him a magician with commanding leadership.
He does it with such a confidence that all you think about is getting your job done because you know he's going to deliver.
And for when he delivers a Super Bowl, he'd better practice.
I want to go to Disney World. I want to go to San Diego first.
Never one to put the cart before the horse. Like most defensive linemen, we couldn't trap him. Besides, he's right at home with the horses up front.
We'll be back with a few final thoughts on the game right after this.